Hello guys, it's Dmitry here, and in this tutorial I'm going to continue talking about functions. And functions, why do we need them, why we using them on a daily basis as software developers, and specifically like usage of functions applied to JavaScript, because that's the language we trying to grasp. Cool guys, let's jump into that. Okay, guys, first of all, I already kind of came up with some logic here. Nothing special about this logic here. So, just to be honest, just let's go line by line. I will explain you. So, guys, do you remember like last time we discussed about when we discussed about logic, we discussed about functions, right? So, and essentially functions, I mentioned like one of the reasons why we're using functions, because like they allow us to separate pieces of logic, like, and just kind of make the logic or make the whole code is neater. But it's more to that, right? Also, another important feature of functions, of using functions, it's they allow us to reuse the code, reusability, right? I think probably that's one of the main reasons why we're using functions. Just can you imagine, like, if you have kind of similar logic, right? Or if piece of code has like similar features, and somehow you can define these similar features and just centralize them, right? Or place them in the same place, and just and just wrap it in the function. And essentially later on you just can call the same place or the same logic just by calling this function, right? How awesome it is, right? Can you imagine? So it's like obviously can save a lot of space, can save, like, essentially reusability is always great. And yeah, I will show you how it works, but like on a basic examples. But still, that it should work the same way in case of any complex application in any complex platform. Let's go, guys. So, alright, you can see here I defined registered user age variable, which is 25, and then I defined essentially two functions. The first function called show console log, and the second one show age of person. And essentially here we have like if statement, and I'm just saying if registered age is equal to 20, then let's call show console.log function. Otherwise, let's call another function. But important thing is, if you look at what's going on inside of each function, we can see the logic inside the function is similar, or essentially it's the same, right? So I guess my point is, why do we need like to define the same logic in different places, right? Which is, it's still going to work, right? Don't get me wrong. Let's call it, and I will show you that it's going to work. So you are 25 years old, right? Which is, yeah, here it's 20. If it's equal 20, if it's true, then calling here, right? But it's not 20, right? It's 25. Then we calling here. So essentially we call this function. But if we change it to 20, which is in this case this condition is going to be satisfied, and we're going to call show console.log function. Let's see. So it works. So we call this function. But again, I guess my point is, let's just try to reuse this logic, because it's the same logic inside of the like both functions, right? What the point, like, to come up with the same logic over and over again and just generate all these unnecessary functions. What I'm planning to do now, I'm just planning to delete one of these functions, and I'm just going to copy and place function here, right? So now we call in the same function. How cool is that? So, and let's run the code, right? It still works, right? So now if we change back, I don't know, like to 23, we're going to call, then we will go here, right, in else statement, and we still going to call the same function. And it still works, right? I guess, guys, this basic example can show you the power of the functions, right? That function, like, they allow us to reuse logic. And this is the simple example, but trust me, from my experience, I already reused quite complex logic, and I just usually wrap them and just store them in centralized area, and essentially I usually wrap them in the function, and I'm just calling them, right? So, and can you see, you can call different parameters, right? And still they if you call in the same function, essentially you're passing different parameters to the same function. And that's why it's a power of functions, right? That like you can give the function different inputs, and it can produce a different outputs, and everything can be stored, like if logic is reusable itself. And of course, don't get me wrong, guys, you still have to come up with the logic. If you have to understand if you can reuse the logic and call the same function, that's up to software developer, of course. But the most important thing is, if you come up with this kind of logic, the functions, they allow you to do that. And it's a power of using functions. Cool, guys. So I think that's exactly what I wanted to explain in this tutorial, and hopefully, guys, I explain you why, like, it's one of the main reasons why we're using functions in software development or in computer programming. And yeah, guys, pretty much it. I'm going to wrap up. Thank you, guys. I will see you in next tutorial. Thank you, guys. Goodbye. And please, I forgot to mention, subscribe or like it if you follow my videos, if you follow my channel, if you like what I'm doing. Goodbye, guys. Thank you. Goodbye.